All right, y'all, here is the last example that we're going to do today. Do name brand granola bars have more chocolate chips? And we're actually, we are going to make a box plot here in just a minute. So that's why I chose to do this one. So Stephanie and Christina are wanting to know if name brand granola bars have more chocolate chips on average. Okay, that is a key word there, on average. So we're going to come back to that. To investigate, they randomly selected 30 name brand chewy granola bars and 30 generic chewy granola bars. Carefully broke each bar apart and counted the number of chocolate chips. And then here's their findings. Okay, so generic, 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 and then name brand, name brand, name brand, name brand. Okay, so just keep those separate. You might want to go ahead and plug those into your calculator. Do generic in one list, and then you could do name brand in the other list, or however you wanted to work that. You could do them one at a time, just stay in one list, whatever. But go ahead and plug that into your calculator. I'm gonna pause here for a minute and wait for you to do that. Yeah. All right, so I did pause that. I know it's picking right back up where it was, but you can pause it. So I had to take a minute to put all those numbers in my calculator too. All right, so we're going to graph the distributions so they are easy to compare. Briefly describe what you see. Okay, so I'm gonna make I'm gonna draw it like this. Okay, and then my findings were anywhere from 3 to 43. I think that was 3 was the lowest for the generic, and 43 was the highest, and it was the name brand. So I'm gonna do my scale. Let me think. Let's see. I'm gonna do this by fives. Okay, again, you can, however you want to do your scale. I'm just doing mine this way. 35, 40, and my highest was 43, so yeah, that's good. 45 is where I'm gonna stop. All right, and then over here, I'm just gonna label, I'm gonna label generic for the generic box plot, and then up here at the top, I'm gonna label this as name brand. Okay, again, that doesn't matter either. And then I'm going to plot some key points that I found. Okay, I plugged this into my calculator, and let's see, where am I gonna run all this? Okay, this was generic. This was the generic. I'm gonna write down my 5-number summary. This is all stuff that I got in the calculator. Minimum was 3. Q1 was 8. The median was 11.5. Q3 was 14. And then the max for the generic was 19. Right. And I'll go back and calculate for outliers here in just a second. Okay. So my name brand. Here's the same stuff. The minimum was 14. Q1 was 25. The median was 27. Q3 was 31, and then our max was 43. Okay. All right, so I am going to calculate or see if we have any outliers. So All right, y'all. So I am gonna pick right back up here. So I wrote out the formula for finding the outliers. That's over here. Okay, right there. And I got us some more space on the board. All right, so now let's figure out if we have outliers. So I'm gonna do my lower bound, which is Q1 minus 1.5 IQR. So Q1 is 8. 1.5 IQR is Q3 minus Q1. Okay, so I'm going to put that into my calculator. And what do I get? -1. Okay, so I'm going to look back up here at my data set here in just a minute and see if I have anything less than -1. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and do my upper bound, which is Q3 plus 1.5 IQR. So Q3 is 14 plus 1.5 times 14 minus 8. So let's see what we got. 14 plus 1.5 times 6 is 23. All right, so I'm going to go back over here. And I'm gonna look in the generic brand. I know I didn't have negative chocolate chips, so I think I'm good there. Okay, so I'm just going through, and I don't have anything above 23. All right, so I have no outliers here. None, not one. No, not one. No outliers. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing for my name brand. I'm just going to come up here. So Q1 minus 1.5 IQR. Q1 is 25. That's 1.5. And then the I. All right, so 25 minus 1.5 times the IQR. What does that give us? 16. So that is your lower bound there. Okay, so we'll go back a minute and look at that. Now let's do the upper bound. 1.5 IQR. So Q3 is 31 plus 1.5 times 31 minus 25. Plug that in. And we got 40. That's our upper bound. All right, so let's see, we got 40 and 16. Let me look back at our data set. All right, and then let's see which outliers we have. Oh yeah, okay. So here's our outliers. 40, oh, I'm sorry, 14. 14's an outlier because it's below 16. Do we have anything else below? Okay, that's the only one that's below. Now I know we've got a couple that are above 40. 41 and 43. So we got 14, 41, 43. Let me look really quick and see if we have anything else. No, we do not. Okay, so those are our outliers. Okay, I'm going to write those in. The outliers for the name brand set. Outliers were 14, 41, and 43. This set, the generic set, had no outliers. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and plot those on my dot plot. I'm sorry, my box plot. So there's close to 14. And then here's 41 and 43 right out there. Okay, so I am gonna draw in my Q1, which is right there at 25. I'm gonna draw in the median at 27, and then I'm gonna draw in the third quartile at 31. Okay, so remember, this is my box. And I'm going to draw a line right there for the median. Okay, and I'm not going to connect the outliers because they are outliers. Right, that's my name brand. I don't have any outliers for generic, so I'm just going to plot this. Orange. All right, so I'm going to plot 8. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed my minimum, which was 3. The median, which is right here, 11.5. Q3 right in front of 15. And then my max right in front of 20 at 19. Okay, so I'm going to make my box. Okay, and draw the line at the median, and then connect the dots. All right, so there's that. You know, we need to give this bottom axis a name. This was what, number of chocolate chips. Okay, and then now I'm just going to briefly describe the distributions here. So let's see. All right, so I think the generic distribution is, I think it's very slightly, and I'm going to write that in, slightly skewed to the left. Okay, I mean, it's slight. It's certainly not, that median is certainly not exactly in the middle. So I'm going to say it's slightly skewed on the left. The name brand, I'm abbreviating NB, is slightly skewed on the right. Okay, so these are just very, very slightly skewed. And then I would also say with 3 apparent, because we plotted them that way, 3 apparent outliers. Okay, 3 apparent outliers. The center and the spread are obviously greater for the name brand distribution. Okay, and that's all you have to write for that.